Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Ravens Outpost. Tonight we've got a very special guest. Most of you may know her from Bigfoot Odyssey. I'd like to welcome Miss Daniela Agliolo. How are you doing tonight?
Doing good, thank you. Thank you for inviting me on to
Oh,
your
that's my pleasure. It's been a while. I've been wanting to get you on here. It's just a matter of, matching your schedule.
timing.
Yeah, yeah.
Day and night, basically, isn't it? It's day and night.
Well, there's like 5 hours, 5.5 hours difference between where you're at and where I'm at.
It's 11 a.m. now. So
Yeah, yep.
it's not 11 a.m., it's 11 p.m. That's
11
it.
p.m.
From
It's
Oregon,
6, yeah.
back to front. Oh,
Oh,
for the late night.
look, I got Jackie in the chat.
Oh,
Hey,
wow.
Jackie.
Hi, Jackie. Oh, I've got
How,
rain. What are we doing?
how's how's life in Alaska?
Yeah, she's back in Alaska now.
Mm-hmm. I've been trying to follow that, follow her journey back up there.
I'm sure she will be documenting it for everybody.
That'd be awesome. So, what's going on? What's new with you?
Not much, just doing the same old thing. It's Bigfoot Odyssey, busy with that. Do 3 nights on there. When we have a drawing Bigfoot, we've got one this Tuesday coming, so that'll be good. But yeah, just plodding along with Bigfoot Odyssey and hoping to, somehow breach this subject, this Bigfoot
We
issue
might,
going on.
yeah, we might get lucky. I don't know.
Yeah,
How
no, it's a long journey, isn't it? I think.
how do you balance that? I mean, you're doing so much with Bigfoot Odyssey, and you've got your own personal thing going on. And what about the hidden existence? I mean, how you balance that out too? It's got to be tough.
Yeah, it is at the moment. I've got a lot going on behind the scenes kind of stuff. So Bigfoot Odyssey, that's like I've been doing that so long now. It's just like clockwork that I do that and I
Mm-hmm.
fit that in. That's just part and parcel of, what I do every week. So it's just finding it is finding a balance and like cutting back on other stuff, hidden existence at the moment. When I've got time to do stuff, I will do. I do have plans, but um, you can only do so much. And like I say, I have to balance things out. So yeah,
Well, drawing Bigfoot, I'm surprised it isn't a bigger success than what it is. I'm not saying it's not, but it's fascinating to watch people come on there and watch watch him do all those, render these drawings of these people's encounters. It's fascinating.
there's lots of layers to it.
It really is.
It's not just drawing an image, but the whole process, the translating what you're seeing to somebody else to put it onto paper, the witnesses' experience, and them
Mm-hmm.
having to recount, what happened is not always, easy for them. And sometimes, there's that at the end when it is all on paper, the reactions of the guests
Mm-hmm.
can be quite upsetting, really. You really know you've hit a tender nerve when they see it
Absolutely.
happening again.
Mm-hmm.
What are we expecting? That's why it kind of immediately for me, after the first one we did with Gary, I think it was Gary Spikes, and he got really upset during the show as it was like coming to life, this image. And I realised that it's not for entertainment. None of these encounters should be for people's entertainment. As much as we love listening to them, at the end of the day, there's a person at the end of that story who's going through or has been through something, and it's not entertainment. It's really. sad in a way, but it still, it raises awareness. It gives that person a chance to talk about it. I mean, like I say, there's so many layers to this subject alone. And drawing Bigfoot is an example of that. And for Larry, who has Parkinson's, it's great therapy for him. It's an exercise for him to use his brain to, and he does really well. I mean, he does really well. That's not a lot of time to draw something like that. And he does it non-stop. He just, doesn't have a break or anything. He just gets on with it and does it. And each time, I'm amazed at what he does.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and knowing that he's got Parkinson's on top of that, it makes it even more special. And when you talk about the people's reaction, and I was listening to someone talk about their encounter and how they describe it, and it how deep it goes with anything. It goes with anything paranormal. It's not just Bigfoot. Dog man, you have some encounter with a full-bodied apparition, a ghost. You see someone that is there that's not supposed to be, and it does something to you, And it's the way he described it, and it's really good at this. I think it resonated with me. It's like your first experience of, okay, it's like, hold on now, losing your virginity. You knew who you were with, you know what it was, and you know whether it was good or not, right? So, but it's that type of intimate. It's very intimate, and it affects you that deeply, and I'm like, wow, that's.
There's just some things you never forget.
That's right. Right. It's like, wow, that hits the nail on the head. I mean, that's a good way to describe it. I never thought of it that way before. And the more I thought about it, I said, that makes so much sense, and how it affects some people so deeply, and how I remember when I would talk to people about my experience and how I would feel when people would look at me a certain way, and that, like, it was like, oh, screw you, man. And and it's like, well, don't be that way. They don't know. They don't know. It's just accept their disbelief for what it is. It's they may not be looking at you any differently, but they just don't know what to take of that. It's hard for anybody to wrap their head around.
Mm. It's a two-way street, isn't it? Trying to tell someone you've had an encounter, or even think about it, to how you might feel if someone was telling you something like that. You don't always react in the right way, do we? We're sometimes really dumb about the way
Right.
we respond to things, and that's usually because of us not. I mean, some of these encounters are really like, wow. I mean, just yeah, unbelievable. But obviously, it's believable to who's had it. So who are we to say whether it's true or not? Or it's not easy, is it? It's not easy listening to someone talking about something like that. I guess if someone was talking about the first time they did it, it's like, right, okay, thanks for letting me know. I don't know. We do react weird to things.
Exactly. And you're right, Max.
Yeah, especially if you're telling your family or someone who's known you for a good amount of years, and they're like going, "Nah, you made it up. You're drunk. You whatever. You've imagined it." Um, yeah, I just can't imagine. Like I say, I had a little encounter. Call it a little encounter. I have no idea what it was, but I did tell someone. They made a joke out of it.
Hmm.
You know, um, friends of mine who wouldn't have thought would have done, but they did. And I laughed with them, but
Right. You
what can I
know,
do? If you're fighting an uphill battle, trying to prove something you can't.
exactly. And that leads me to this right here. And it's funny she mentioned this. And, you don't just happenstance get into this,
Oh,
this study looking for Bigfoot. And you mentioned you had an encounter.
yeah, but
Um,
well, I'm sorry.
no, I mean, I was just going to ask you what exactly was it that brought you to Bigfoot Odyssey that spiked your interest in the paranormal? Because we've talked, and you've expressed to me that you've got other ideas about other things, other paranormal things. But what influenced you? What brought you here? You
Literally,
know,
a YouTube recommendation. That was it.
really,
I'm not sure
really.
what was watching on YouTube, but it must have been linking it to it. So I was looking at ancient civilizations, just kind of stuff like that. I wasn't looking at aliens, and this recommendation kept popping up on for ages. I kept seeing it and thought, "What the heck is that?" I'm not even gonna look at that. And it was something like man records Bigfoot talking to Bigfoot. It was something like that, and I just hadn't a clue what Bigfoot was. Even though I saw a clip of that as a kid once on a news round kind of TV program, but I didn't know, you know, literally anything about Bigfoot. And just one day I clicked it because it kept coming up all the time, and it was Mike Patterson, Sasquatch Ontario, recording Nefertia going, "Brother, flower," all that stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is this about? And so um, I watched a few more videos of his, and I didn't even know if this stuff was for real, if this was just something made up. I mean, this is what, if you're a newbie to this subject, how do you know? You don't know anything. So I watched a few of his and they were like fascinating. His videos were fascinating, but I thought, so what? There's something out there that's, can disappear, that can talk. And so the next link I must have got onto was Christopher Noel, I think, Impossible Visits. And these were totally different experience to Mike Patterson's. This was like a kind of flesh and blood thing. So I'm like, right, okay. So then after that, obviously, you troll through YouTube and there's just so much. There's a lot of rubbish out there. There's a lot of just, looking at blurry images. And it was, that was it for me, really. And then I came across a Bigfoot Odyssey. It was the first documentary he'd done. And I just loved it. The first documentary Kerry did, I just didn't want it to end. It was so fascinating and it felt really grounded and like Kerry and Linda, really just honest, open people. And the guests that they had as well that they were talking to. I mean, it was just fascinating listening to it. And at that point, I realized there was, some quality in this kind of subject. And there's a lot of rubbish, but I wanted to follow the quality stuff because you can waste your life, just watching rubbish. I wanted to really try and get into it. And that was it, really. I just started leaving comments and that, and me and Kerry would, reply. And, it just evolved to me being in the group on Facebook, having a falling out with someone, and becoming an admin. Just trying to like raise the bar a little bit on, people stop posting rubbish and blob squatch and let's have a bit more context to pictures and like comparison shots. And yeah, it sounds like nobody kind of wants to go that route, but actually, if you want to take the subject seriously, you need to start following some kind of not rules, but it makes sense to take comparison shots. It makes sense to document, a lot more stuff than what people do. And, I don't like people going out and then coming back home and looking through videos and finding 10 dog men, 2 Bigfoot. Whatever, it happens. It's like I want people to have experienced something with that image, which gives it a story then. But anyway, yeah, it kind of just, and then obviously, researchers report, we started with that, interviewing other researchers and people who've had experiences. And yeah, I mean, it's been like three years, I think now. So it's kind of all got a bit of a blur now.
I was going to say, I mean, I remember watching you guys when they were only like, I think I started watching you guys and you had like right at around 10,000 subs. Now you've only, what, almost 45,000 now?
Getting up
Or
there, 41, I think, something like that, 42.
Okay. But
So,
anyway, that's a huge following. I mean, that's how does that feel? I mean, with your, that's a measure of success right there. And then you know, you guys have actually set a bar, for, interviews and your type of investigation. I mean, that's something in my book to be proud of, and how many people you've actually touched and been able to bring forward where they can, tell their story, and how much you guys can advance as much as you can without, being that hamster in a wheel.
there's like, for me, I just, sit in front of this screen and do those shows and hope that people enjoy, the interviews and the guests and just people's different experiences, and to be able to just listen and not judge. Well, you can judge, but just to give a space for someone to talk. Uh,
Right.
and then the rest of it is kind of like a byproduct, of the community that's been built, the interactions with other people, what other people are doing, how other people are communicating with other people. It's like it can't happen with just us alone. It takes all these people that are involved, all the people that have experiences, all the people that have had, paranormal experiences. There's something that draws people here. It's not just Bigfoot. It's just that sense of people have experienced something, and they feel like they're connected to in that right kind of like place, to be where people want to listen, want to, try and help if they can. And it doesn't feel like we do a lot, it doesn't, but it obviously does. It doesn't take a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't take a lot just to listen to someone and, try and do that. And the rest kind of just grows off that, I think. I don't even look at the numbers. I mean, obviously, I look at the numbers, but I still feel like we are, whether it's 4,000 or 400 or 40,000, I kind of don't. I don't. When I think about it, I think, oh my god, yeah, if I had to stand up and talk to 40,000 people, I couldn't do that. I don't think. But you feel safe, don't you, sat at home doing it? But,
Sometimes, yeah,
yeah, I guess with
but it ain't.
people, we're just trying to facilitate somewhere for people to offload, share their experiences, and try and raise awareness. And that's what we do, I think. Yes, exactly.
And I'll be honest with you. I'm taking that here. I'm trying to make this place that another safe haven, a port in a storm, and then a lot of other things. The channel's evolved quite a bit, and you've got this thing now that you call the Encounter Hub, where people can come to. It's not recorded, and it's a place where people can come and tell their stories, you know, candidly, just in private and safety. How is that going?
Well, it is a really good place to be. It's a good. It is good when it happens. I've not been able to do anything for the last month. I think I'm going to start it up again next week. But yeah, it's just the people that come there feel relaxed and are really grateful. I think of just being somewhere where they can talk, just having someone to listen and maybe help. And we have done that actually. We've had a lady and I've managed to hook her up. Well, they've kind of done it between them through the Encounter Hub, but two guys have gone out to her property to have a look for her to see what's going on. And it doesn't have to be on YouTube, it doesn't have to be in front of people. There's a heck of a lot of people experiencing stuff and that they're not even on YouTube and they just want, a bit of help. So it's, if you can do it, it's really good. If you can put a bit of time aside to listen to people, maybe, at this point, we know so many people, we should be able to start networking, uh, helping people out, maybe knowing researchers are not far from people. Maybe they'd go out and take a look. I mean, maybe we can get more clues or evidence when it's not put out there and made into like a show or, some entertainment or whatever. There's people that are having serious problems and we shouldn't be having to connect with YouTube every time something about Bigfoot comes up. It's not all, for show. And I think we're getting good results in the Encounter Hub as opposed to, we're getting a little bit more detail. I think that than you get airing something live. So yeah, I think it's a good thing. I'm sorry I haven't been able to do it, like I say, but I've had quite a lot on. But hopefully next week we'll be back on track.
Yeah, I imagine it's kind of hard to orchestrate all that, and yeah, I imagine it does help a lot of people. I mean, there's so many people out there. There are people here in this chat that have stories they like to tell, and not necessarily have to do with Bigfoot. And that's a good place to go if they feel like they need to get something off their chest or maybe help someone who may be having the same problem they had or some similar encounter. It's one of those things that it helps. It's this channel doing this right here has helped me immensely. It's almost like therapy for me. I was gone for 2 weeks because of technical issues and whatnot. Man, I hated it. I mean, I like being here. I
Yeah,
like talking to everybody. I mean, you find a great bunch of people here that understand, and that means the world. You got to talking about how when it comes down to telling people your your encounter, and especially when it's family and they disrespect you. Well, yeah, I think you're BSing, but you're not, and it hurts a lot more than what people would think. So if you give someone that type of platform where they can come, let that stuff out. I mean, it's great therapy.
definitely. Yeah, I would encourage anyone to get in touch with Lee, or me, whichever you want. It doesn't matter. Um, Ray Daw says difficult to weed out hoaxes, liars, and attention seekers. To a point, yeah. I don't feel like we get a lot of attention seekers. Um, we have interviewed quite a lot of people. They could have been liars. If that's hoaxes as well, kind of they all come in the same kind of boat. But I just think, why bother? Why even? What sort of attention are you actually getting? And how long can you, carry on your story? I think there's little bits of information that comes out, and also people's reactions when they're telling the stories gives a lot away. And I know some people don't always react the way you think they're going to, but um, I get to speak to people after the show as well, and there's been, oh, is it just me now?
No, I'm still here. I give you
Oh, right.
I give it to you.
Oh, I don't want it. I don't want that. That's too bright. That's too. That's better. Yeah, don't even do that. What was I saying? It's hard to. Yeah, but yeah, there was one on who really wasn't reacting the way you think he would, and after the show, he explained a few things to me, and we do get to speak to people before they come on, so we do have an idea. I know some people go through the whole vetting thing, but um, people can tell you whatever they want. And I'm in England, it's a bit difficult for me to really vet people.
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, if they want to come on and tell you a story that's a load of rubbish, then that's on them, and people just have to make their own minds up. But I think we do all right generally. Might have had a few dodgy ones, but no one can actually name.
Well, I'm right there with you. I wish I had time to actually, pre-interview some people and like that. And there's also times when I like it, where it's raw. It's just that's that information that's getting out there, and I trust the people in chat. I mean, they're grown adults. I mean, you take from it what you will. I just and I can see there. I trust people here that can see through the BS, if there is any. I haven't seen a whole lot since
No,
I've been doing this. I haven't.
I don't think I have. I mean, the odd one, I've just thought, I'm just not feeling it. You just get a feel, don't you? And also descriptions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. You do.
So who knows? And also a lot of these that haven't actually seen it, but have heard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it can be really difficult to know what you're listening to.
That's right.
Your
That's right.
imagination can run away with you, and I'm not trying to take anyone's experience away from them. I always say that, but there are times when we can be mistaken, and
Absolutely.
that's just the way it is. If you can't see what's happening and you can only hear something, you're going to try to make logic of it somehow. So I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? At the end of the day, even if they're coming on and telling a story, we're still raising awareness of these things being out there. Um,
Right.
so it kind of works anyway. We just can't guarantee 100% that people's stories are completely true. I think they are, though, most of them.
Most of them. Yeah. I
Yeah,
believe that.
some people are a little dodgy. There's one in the chat now. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
He said
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You said it, Max.
Yeah. Um, yeah,
I
I know
mean.
our own pets can make noises we haven't heard before. I've heard a few
Mm-hmm.
weird noises
Mm-hmm.
coming from my dog.
Oh man. Yeah. Pets. Dude, I've heard so many stories about pets and their sensitivity. I've got one that barks at invisible stuff. And, once upon a time, I was like, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing? But now I'm like, well, what are you barking at?
Mm.
Are they coming in the house? So I mean, my viewpoint has totally changed.
It's weird, isn't it? My
Hmm.
dog is practically deaf now, but she can start barking at something that she can hear somehow at frequency. She can hear if I whistle loud, like high pitch whistle. She reacts to that. But if we're in the house, I'm not sure what she can hear outside and why she would start barking. Maybe, they do pick up on other frequencies. Don't know.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, it's like when the dog whistle and all that stuff. I mean, but they're. I would like to keep a dog with me when I'm out, just because their senses are more attuned than mine normally.
Mm.
But once they get a little older, sometimes they're about this. We're about on the same level. And I had a dog that was like yours, as deaf as a post, and just like, oh, poor thing. You're good for cuddles. That's about it.
Yeah. I think a dog is a good companion, isn't it? I can't remember. Yeah, that's right. Who knows how many sounds they make or what they are? And it can just be one experience. It could be something giving birth, that you don't often hear, or something being killed, you know,
Right.
by another animal that you don't normally hear. So even these encounters are just one-offs generally, aren't they? Just a few seconds, just those few seconds where you experience something. And so any of these noises could be anything.
I mean, my only encounter physically was, my first one was the roar, howl, scream. I heard that like 3 or 4 times, and that was like, God Almighty, it's going on 15 years ago now,
Mm.
and it's that's all I had. But when I heard it I was like, what in the hell was that? And I looked and looked and looked and couldn't find anything. The closest thing I could come to was an African lion with the roar. The rest of it was like, how did it do that? What did that? I was left with that question, and I'm still questioning stuff. And it's one of those things that we get back to people telling their encounters, and how people are afraid of how they'll be perceived. Because I know, listening to, and I've mentioned this before, I'm listening to my own encounter fall out of my mouth, and I'm like, that sounds nuts. Who's going to believe that? Who's going to believe that? So yeah, I mean, I totally get it, and I'm glad that they have places like the Encounter Hub to come to tell these stories, to get that off their chest, and
Mm.
maybe help someone else.
Yeah, definitely. Even if it just helps them, you know,
Exactly.
if you lift a weight off your shoulder, it's can make a difference. Just the thought of talking about it is often more terrifying than actually saying it. And if you manage to find a place where you can actually say it, then it could feel a lot easier than what you think it's going to be, you know. So yeah, it's definitely worth doing. Talking.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm, I've been thinking a lot about, and this is something else I've been thinking about, and you mentioned it earlier. Reason why you started tumbling down this rabbit hole, is researching ancient civilizations. You ever heard of a channel called Bright Insight?
No.
You should check him out. He's pretty cool. He studies a lot of the Egyptian pyramids and stuff like that, And it drew me down the same lines of the ancient aliens and all that stuff. And I've heard people talk about, oh, that's crazy talk, and how is that even possible? But I think this is just me, but I think it's possible. I actually believe it's more than possible that that maybe there were ancient civilizations out there who were farther more advanced than we are today in certain respects, especially probably in a physical sense where they were more in touch with their mental capabilities, and all this other stuff. I think there's a lot there. There's more to us as human beings than we really know. I think we've just scratched the surface. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think because when you talk about history, you talk about going back in time, and you know, people still think about caveman with the stone wheel, and like, but that it doesn't mean that things didn't evolve, or intelligence, or equipment, or that they, like you say, they were living far beyond with technologies that we don't even have. Um, yeah, absolutely. What's more interesting is, why don't we have any evidence of some of these civilizations, or even their tools, or their however they built, like the pyramids? I mean, it would take years and years and years and years to build it if they were just bringing this stone over, on little wooden branches or whatever they were doing.
I know,
Um,
right?
yeah, I mean, yeah, why can't they have been more equipped with stuff um, than we are? It makes sense. Maybe that they did have more technology somehow. Yeah, exactly. It just that's what happened. Aliens and spaceships. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? Some of these buildings you see, and how did they get like that?
Mm-hmm.
We probably couldn't even do that now. I don't know.
For the longest time, archaeologists tried to claim that the stone was cut with the the tools they had at hand, which were bronze and stone, and there was no way they could carve out that much stone. No way with
And
those tools.
yeah, and they were like, you can't even put anything between these gaps to
Exactly.
when they were doing it.
And here's the other question: why such massive stone monoliths? What were they for? I remember in school when they used to explain to us that the pyramids were tombs for the ancient pharaohs. When it comes to find out, they were not.
Well,
You've got chambers in there that are slick. They have no writing whatsoever, and they're shafts that lead into odd angles, and uh, out the side of a pyramid, tunnels that go to nowheres. Like, what was this? And the way they built this, you could tell that they built it from the inside out, which is another mind-boggling fact. It's like, how did they do it? Why did they do it? Who did it? And all of this, I think, for Sasquatch. And I tell you why. It's because I'm going down that rabbit hole wondering, where does Sasquatch come from? How far back does these stories go? And then I got to falling down that rabbit hole, and I said, oh, ancient civilizations. Oh, here's the Sumerians talking about some type of Sasquatch creature. What?
Oh, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, this the Gilgamesh.
Hmm.
I can't remember the guy's name, the beast man's name. I can't remember his. Ray, help me out. What was his name? Can you remember? I bet you can.
Hmm. I mean, some say they were, you know, electricity generators.
Mm-hmm.
They were fine tuned the way they were carved. That the like some of those um, chambers weren't. I mean, the Egyptians discovered them, wrote their own hieroglyphics on them, and decided to use them as burial chambers. But like you say, if they weren't burial chambers, they're all different sizes, and when you get right down to the bottom, there's one room at the bottom, and in the I think it's the Giza, the main one, where that room's carved out to a certain point and it's not finished. So maybe that was the fine tuning. Um, if you also consider vibration and from the water, if it was, I think the water was a lot nearer, closer
Mm-hmm.
to these pyramids at some point. And so if they were using water uh, and generating electricity and vibration, who knows what they could do with that? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean that was Tesla's theory, and you
Mm,
mentioned three of the things he loved to mention, energy, frequency, and vibration. So my guess is, yeah, right. Great minds, brother.
there you go.
See, I mean,
Guagalana.
good. Yep, but that's it. The Beast Man.
Mm, it's fascinating.
And, mm-hmm. It really is. I think more lately that to find the answers that we're seeking, we're going to have to look into our past
Mm,
and really study it. You know, I mean, there's so much that's been lost, so much that's been lost over the years. Um,
I'll try and find something to share. We keep talking while I just kind of see if I can find this. If you can, sorry. Um, but it's about somewhere in South Africa. Starts in South Africa. Just give me a minute.
Buck, you got away with words, Hoss. Yep, and that's right, stolen from Tesla as well. And see
And
this
that's
right
great.
here. Uh, Tesla found a way to pull electricity from the ground, and that's one of his theories about what the pyramids were.
Mhm.
And you see where they found pyramids. I mean, in certain locations all over the world, and the theory goes that they were all linked somehow, and they generated electricity all throughout the world.
Well, there you go. I mean, there's something about that, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Um, just trying to find this. So, have you heard of Michael Tellinger at all? Lee, can you hear me?
Yeah. What that? What was that?
Have you heard of Michael Tellinger?
Michael Selge.
I'm just gonna
Name sounds familiar.
I'm gonna share this now. Okay, so this guy's talking about 200,000-year-old technology. He's I don't know his title, but he's South African. He started finding these circles on the ground. Should we just play a little bit?
Okay.
The stone ruins. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I've done it over and over again. So there are more than 10 million of these circular stone structures left behind. Welcome to my world of the stone circles in Adam's calendar. And they are quite spectacular. Most of them you can't see from the ground. You only see them from aerial photographs. Everyone is completely unique. All of them are circular. None of them are the same. And these stone circles cover most of South Africa, or large parts of South Africa, very extreme areas of Zimbabwe, parts of Botswana and Mozambique. Sometimes they are beautiful flower shapes like this. And each and every one is completely unique. This is what the walls look like from the ground. They're not very high. Some of them have been reused in more recent times and reconstructed and made higher. What you're looking at is the largest cluster of stone ruins found anywhere in the world until today. Until we find something else, these stone circles of Southern Africa are the largest cluster of ancient ruins anywhere on Earth today. As I said, there are more than 10 million of these stone circles. What's even more interesting is that they're connected by these weird channels. They look like these wires that connect them together. And also notice that weird kind of spider's web effect that goes away from the circle. No stone circle stands alone, even though it might look on photographs that the stone circle is on its own. If you look carefully, you'll see the hidden spider's web effect or the channels that connected them to the other stone circles. You'll see those hidden beneath the soil around the circle. There you can see the channel at the top connecting the stone circles. You can see the extreme age and the erosion of these structures. Obviously, much destruction has been done by town.
I'll put a link in the chat if people want to watch that. Not now, obviously.
Right.
But it's fascinating that these things could have been electricity, conduits maybe. I don't know. But to find these circles, you can't even get in them. You can't even get into them, the ones that are still built. There's not no way in, no way out. People were saying, well, they were used for cattle and stuff like that. They're not. There's a reason why they're built. But anyway, I've put the link in the chat if people want to check it out later.
This is the stuff that just fascinates the hell out of me. And it makes me believe that there's so much more to us than people want to even consider. I mean, we knew so much. And my question is, what happened? I'd love to know.
Well, actually, I think in there he talks about history amnesia, something like that, where we've just been made to forget stuff that's happened. We've lost, loads of information. We don't know a lot, What do we know? Just what we're being told. What's been left, what's been found. Chemic acid and energetic reaction inside IB when she visited Tellinger. Oh. He's a pretty fascinating guy, I think. The stuff he's been researching. And these things aren't just in Africa, they're everywhere, absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
Pyramids are everywhere. Something going on these were beacons of some sort. I don't know.
Well, something else they don't want to talk about is how Egyptian hieroglyphs were found in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
You don't hear anybody talking about that. It's like, how in the hell did they get there? They weren't just put there.
Is this where they found the coffin as well, and that was in the early 1900s, was it? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been shut off now. I mean, has anyone ever tried to go out there and look? I mean, what would you find?
They claim to have lost it. Down right around in there somewhere. Also, they found a sarcophagus for a race of giants.
Oh,
See,
right.
and that's something else they don't want to talk about either. Yes, the Smithsonian. Here
Yeah,
we go.
it's strange, isn't it? We're only allowed to, my boss come in or not, what isn't being acknowledged, and how much, I've said this before, how many museums, stockroom, have just boxes and boxes of stuff in there that I haven't even looked at yet. You know,
Exactly.
that's how it is. So, who knows? There's a piece of evidence lying somewhere. Um, maybe we've got the answers and we just don't know it. I mean, it's so obvious, but we just don't know it. You know, under the Vatican, yeah, there's going to be lots under there. Definitely,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I mean, when you've got 54 miles of shelf space down there, I mean, for real.
It's just hard to imagine, isn't it? What
It
they've got.
really isn't.
Um, yeah, I mean, if anyone applies to be the Pope, no doubt. Now is a chance of working at the Vatican.
And this
Get,
is your homework, guys.
get
Get into the
underground.
Vatican.
We know it's there. We just need to get in there.
Exactly.
It's the only way we're going to find some answers, I think. We've got to do something different, haven't we? And if it means breaking into the Vatican cellar, do it.
Well, somebody else with a way with words, and I'm going to put it up there. I don't care what they
Yeah.
say.
Well,
Here we go. Boom.
go. Halfcast is going to put an application in. Excellent.
Do it. Do it
Do,
off.
do it. Get yourself to Rome. It's not just the Vatican there. Ice cream, pizza. I mean, Italy is the place to be if you like good food. So, I don't know if my dog's coming or not. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who remember I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's something else I've been looking into too. I
Right.
just started, so I don't know too much about it. I'm not versed enough to actually make a comment on that. But yeah, Max.
Trying to find out what this is called. Look. Anthropophany.
It's a mouthful.
I know, I can't even be bothered now saying it. Read. Yeah, everything's such a mystery, isn't there? So many mysteries out there. And we just, who are we anymore?
Yeah.
We're just made now. We're just copying. We're being programmed, even by our parents in some form. As soon as you're born, you're conditioned. And
Mm-hmm.
what were we? How were we before all that? What what were we like? What was it always like this?
Mm. No,
So
no.
yeah.
You somebody mentioned this. We're talking about how before the '70s, how many photos did you ever see of morbidly obese people?
Mm.
And I'm not putting anyone down. I'm just saying that we've got a softer life now than we did, 30, 40 years ago. We've got a softer life, and there's a lot of people with that softer life who are ready to be spoon fed like a baby bird and take it all in and believe everything that they've been told because it's more comfortable. They can't step outside their comfort zone. They don't want to do that. Oh, that's too much like work, you know? But when you get down and you start digging, that's when you find a lot of stuff that just goes against everything you've been told. And for me, once I started digging into the religious part of it, looking at religion and the origins of mankind and this, that, and the other, it really shook me to the core. I mean, it went against everything that I had believed. And people are not ready for that. There's a lot of people who aren't.
Mm. No, it's when you think about it as well, we're all just in our own realities, aren't we?
It
Your
seems that way.
your reality, your life, the way you think is not maybe the same way that I think. And so the way we view the world and situations, maybe bring it down, a little bit closer to home. When you're dealing with situations, your reality, how to deal with stuff, to mine is different with everything.
Mm-hmm.
But we all have our own realities, even though we're living in this big reality. But what is the big reality when we're
Right.
so lost in our own realities? I mean, I think that's how it is, how it works. Um, we're not maybe as connected as we think we are. Um, Everything's distorted. Literally, everything is distorted. Um, how do you? It's a bit deep, isn't it? Now for a Saturday
Mm-hmm.
night to be getting into this. Cook, yes, raw day, just cook. And that's one way. But yeah, we're just lost. We're just victims of our situations. Not maybe not victims, but we create drama, we create problems, and
Mm-hmm.
sure, when life was a lot simpler, we didn't have all this other stuff going on. Um, that,
There's so many people. I hate to interrupt, but I mean, there's to go with what you're saying. There's so many people out here who are so bored with their life that they have nothing better to do than cause strife and put other people at odds with one another.
yeah,
That's it's a sickness. It really is.
that's a sad life when you need to focus on other people's lives. Um, that is a sad life. It's my dog. Sorry. Um, yeah, life is really short. You've really got to just do uh, what you want to do. What you need to do for yourself. Not worry about other people. Let me just go and shut my dog up.
Yeah, I've got one doing that too. He's a little loud, and he's in the next. He's 2 rooms down from here. He's really loud.
Hmm. Yeah. What was I saying? Instant gratification, impatience. Those that seek. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, but when some people like it though, don't they? Seem to feel like they've got are entitled to
Oh yeah,
talk about you, about what you're doing and judging you, and
they're addicted to that dopamine hit they get from when people react to their posts or and this, that, and the other, and it
yeah, it's sad, isn't it? What are we not taught to do, Max? What are we not taught to do? People don't understand how people mm,
right. They can't step out of their comfort zone, and they enjoy that anonymity. In some cases, what you were saying is true about when you were talking about how if you were actually speaking in front of 1,500 people, you don't know whether you could do it or not. But there's so many people out here who are comfortable with that anonymity that their name is not their real name in chat. And they'll make up some type of, false profile to get in here and just start a bunch of mess.
mm,
And professional trolls, man.
yeah, you just got to ignore him really and not give him the attention if you can help it. Um, I think
Right?
people who stand up for what they believe in generally have a smaller following, sadly. But maybe that's a good thing
Mm-hmm.
because you know the sheep will kind of stick together, and they've always got that. The dog biting at them, going, "Well, if you don't do this, this will happen." What once they move on from one person, they'll just move on to another person. It's like it doesn't matter as long as if you step out of line, you're going to be targeted. I'd rather step out of line and not be, not follow that kind of like herd. Um, yeah, like Iron Dogger says, wash your hands.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wash your hands. I don't follow a lot of channels, and I certainly don't get caught up in all the drama, even though I kind of know what's going on. It's just mindless. It's just what a waste of energy. Um, Making a
Yeah.
show to pull down other people who are not doing anything wrong or just not doing something that you don't like. Well, there's lots of things I don't like, but I don't bang on about it. I don't make a show about it. I don't talk about, the films I don't like. I don't talk about the food I don't like. I
Mm-hmm.
want to talk about
Yeah.
the things I like, the things I enjoy. I mean, what is wrong with you when you keep moaning about stuff that you don't like? Move on. It's
Exactly.
you know, move on. Psychic
It's just
Vampires, you write book.
it's
Um,
just like you said. Life's too short to be concentrating on that type of stuff.
yeah, you haven't got a life if you're doing that.
You really don't. You really don't.
Um, Anyone who, if you had a friend who would just sit and criticize other people, then you've got a sad friendship going on. You know,
It's
it's,
one thing back in the day when you used to sit around and hear people gossip. When it can go viral and hurt people's livelihood, then you've got a problem.
yeah. And there's no need for it. Why are people, if you had a bad day, go and sort it out somewhere else. Don't take your shit out on other people. It's just not, it's just not good for them. But it is what it is. People love it, actually. People love that drama, unfortunately. Uh, so it's an hard one.
There we go, right here. Ben's right about this. Roll in the mud with a pig. Eventually, you realize it likes it. And I used to say, you lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas. It's the same. It's the same adage. It's just It's tiresome. I, mean, I really don't have time to deal with that type of crap. I really don't. We're,
Mm.
you know, but
It just doesn't
yeah,
make sense, though, does it? Iron Dogger says some people bond over hatred. What does that say about the bond?
God, yeah, it's fragile, really. Because once that other person's views change just slightly, it goes all to crap.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, it's sad, isn't it, that people take out their problems. Basically, that's what they're doing, is they're taking out their own issues, um, and targeting people who've really done nothing. But that's kind of like how life is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How people react, they lash out. Um, you just think, I don't know,
I don't know either.
day
It
and age
just
would be a bit more, aware of, like you say, how things can hurt other people, or even if it doesn't hurt them, you're trying to hurt someone by being nasty to them or insulting them or even doing anything to them. And the biggest, the saddest thing is you'll never even meet these people face to
right.
face. You're
Mm-hmm.
not even in the same country as some of these people. Like, what on earth? What sort of, does that say? If you're making such a big impact on someone's life, they're not really getting out there and doing their own thing, are they?
It really is sad when you look at how life is now, instead of focusing on how to build and improve society. Um, there are people ready to tear it down. I mean, and there are people out there who just want to watch the world burn, and that's a sad fact.
Mm, yeah.
How did we get here?
Um, Red off myself, just not participating. That's the best thing to do, is not to participate. It's really
Mm-hmm.
sad, actually. It's not a good environment to be in for anybody.
Mm-mm.
Um, there's got to be something better out there to spend your time on. So, I don't know. Um, but while everyone is so divided, if you disagree, you're against me mentally. Yeah, why can't we just agree to disagree? What is the big deal?
Mm-hmm.
Just, it's not worth it. Um, so, yeah, it feels weird that I can't click on the question.
Oh. Which one were you talking about?
Any of them. It's just I can scroll them, but I can't click them because I'm
Oh
on
yeah.
the other side of the
How's that feel, by the way?
weird.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Usually I'm sitting here clicking away. Every now and then I'm on somebody else's show and I'm like, well, I ain't got to do nothing but run my mouth. That's great.
I just get used to scrolling, right? When you're doing a show here, I'm constantly like scrolling. Division and fear, yeah. I am just don't put any energy into people that I don't get, that I'm not going to get on with, or that we're not going to agree. I instantly know when
Mm-hmm.
people are the same thing, and it's just not worth getting into those conversations. A bit like for me in religion, I'm not going to get into a conversation with someone about religion because I'm not interested in it, and I don't, I'm not, I don't want to talk about it. Um, yeah,
Pretty much.
that's it. Agree to disagree.
Rick, I do love you guys. You know it. That's why I'm here. Every week I try to show up, you know? The reason why I'm here is because of you guys.
Well, that's the kind of deal, isn't it? Yeah, you need these guys. We
I
all,
do.
you know, it's without them, we can't be doing what we're doing.
Uh,
Oh, I do. He's doing it again now. Cat's shouting at me with his cats. Make his point. You know,
so, Daniela, have you ever had a paranormal event?
I guess the only thing I can remember is um, there's a kid, must be like 5 or 6, and gone to bed and was facing the wall, and because the bed was against the wall, and something just made me turn around, and I just saw like a glowing white figure, which I think was female, and just getting the impression that they were saying it's okay, it's all right, don't worry. And I kind of turned back to turn around again fully to have a better look, and it had gone. So, I mean, that's something I've never forgotten. Um, so that's the only what I think is a paranormal event that I've had. Bit boring.
How old were you?
I like 5 or 6,
Mm-hmm.
and I still remember it. It's not, those kind of. If it's a dream, you kind of forget, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
But this thing really felt real, and it was like a glowing white light, but a figure, and like I said, I think it was female, and it was just saying it's okay, don't worry. Um, don't really remember what was going on around that time in my life, other than I just moved to that house. But I think we've been there about a year. I was only a kid, so I don't know um, why they appeared, or what it was. Um, who knows?
I've met quite a few people, and I've got to throw myself into that mix, who have had paranormal encounters at an early age, between the ages of 4 and 8. And that's it was a significant one that they remember this day. I mean, it's like there are things I can't remember what happened 20 minutes ago. My wife would say, "What did you do with this?" I don't know. I put it down somewhere, but I can remember that, and that happened nearly 48 years ago. And it's like, wow. I'm seeing a girl standing outside my bedroom door. Just I thought it was my sister, and it was not. I mean, I saw her just as clearly as I'm seeing you, and she was standing there. I saw the facial features, the body movement. It's like, who is that? And then I heard the rustling down beneath me. We had bunk beds. We had to share the same bedroom. I was on the top, my sister's on the bottom, and it's like, what are you doing, sis? And it's like, what is that? It freaked me out, man. It freaked me out.
And like you say, you remembered it.
Mm-hmm.
Just we tend to just forget normal things, or imagination, or a dream.
Oh.
There's things that stick in your mind,
Mm-hmm.
and
I remember it like it was yesterday. So.
mm, makes you wonder, doesn't it? Makes you wonder. Um, Max says, "Do these experiences make us more perceptive, open to more?" I think it can shut you down as well.
Mm-hmm.
I would really like to, you know, connect more with things. But I think actually I've shut myself down because I don't want to. I'm frightened of what might happen. So even though I'm open to it, I think there's a block somewhere that's not going to allow anything to happen, which is strange because as much as I want something to happen, it doesn't. Maybe that's because nothing's going to happen. I don't know.
No, it makes perfect sense to me. I've got a cousin that way. I met last weekend. I met a couple of cousins of mine, and I grew up with, but we fell out of touch, and it's been 30 years since we've seen each other and talked together, and it's like we spent quite a few hours catching up. And they found out what I do. I'm into the paranormal and all that. And one's into it, and one is a proclaimed skeptic. And I've been around enough people who claim to be skeptics to figure out what they're skeptical about, if there's actually skeptic or if they're afraid. And I do believe my other cousin is afraid. One's into it, like I said, one isn't. And the one that isn't is like, yeah, I don't want to have anything to do with it, really. And it's just how he reacted to certain things I showed him and we're talking to him about. He wanted to change the subject really quick. So, about shutting down, yeah, I believe something's happened to him that just, he doesn't want to have anything more to do with it. I totally get that.
Yeah. I'm just kind of like so interested, but yeah, I'd probably freak if something happened to me. I don't know, so I'm like, no, it's not gonna. I think some people are more susceptible as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
These people that can be hypnotized really easily. I mean, when they're doing these shows, they have to really pick these people out. They have to go through a load of people to see who are can be easily, suggestible or so why are some people like that and other people aren't? What's up with those people that are just so easy to manipulate, I guess? And, are these experiences, are people being manipulated when they're having paranormal experiences?
We talked earlier about, vibration, frequency, energy. You think it could be your own personal energy, your own vibrational frequency that attracts things? You think that's possible?
I don't know, possibly.
I mean, that's what I've been thinking about. How are some people more likely to have encounters than others? I used to think it was like once you had an encounter, you were marked. And I went past that. I think it's something that's just naturally occurring with us as people. What makes us stand apart from someone else, and why we have an experience and other people don't. I've saw where a person will have an experience and they'll be with two or three other people and they're the only ones that has the experience, and that's just odd. It's like, why would that happen? And why would you believe that person, and why would you not believe that person? If the person's presenting their case as genuinely as possible, I mean, you just got, why would they lie about it? But so you got to sit. I sit back and I try to weigh out what makes this person different than the other people that they are around. Same thing happened to me, a buddy of mine who's like my brother, and another fellow we were friends with at the time. He and I had something happen to us, and we saw it, but he was just the other guy was just oblivious to it, and I don't know. I don't know.
Isn't it? Um, is there a difference between people who have faced? I'm just talking Bigfoot now. Those that physically have a one-to-one eye contact experience with Sasquatch, to those that see one crossing the road when they're in the car. I wonder
Oh
if
yeah.
there's a difference going after that. Whether those eye-to-eye ones make you more, I don't know, maybe you're looking out for it more once you know what you're looking at. But I wonder if those that have just seen one cross the road while they're in the car don't have or don't have the same experience. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm talking rubbish now. I don't know.
Well, well, you heard the dribble that just poured out of my mouth. So,
Oh well, that's probably why I was trying to.
trying to cover up my BS. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I think we've still got people watching, so let's carry on.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a fascinating subject, all of it, isn't it? There's so many questions.
Yeah.
But something, is going on. Was there a time in some ancient civilization when they worked it all out, and then something happened? Have all these civilizations have ended because everything's cut peak to a certain point, and boom, it's gone, and we start back again.
It's like somebody hit the reset button or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, were we doing this in other, with the TV screens? Was the internet? Was there what was their thing? It's just, yeah, there's so many things. We should, research more. I think the answers, there's people, like I say, not everything is on YouTube,
Exactly.
and there's so many people that we could talk to that have information, and pretty much sure we could learn a lot more if we got off YouTube every now and again.
You can find your way around YouTube to a certain point, but after a while you got to find alternate sources. You really do. And sometimes these people you find on YouTube will direct you to these alternate sources, which is really nice if you're lucky enough to find these people.
Yeah. Reading, I mean, reading is something I don't think we do a lot of anymore. Books, I mean, I still like to read, not as much as I used to, but um, there must be some books out there that are holding information that we don't even know yet. And people's experiences, like not everybody comes, like I say, on YouTube, there's people's writing books, that science books, whatever you're into. Um, you're limiting yourself really just being on here as much as that. I mean, I think I've watched everything that I can possibly watch in the genres that I want to watch. I mean, it soon becomes pretty monotonous what's on YouTube. It's hard to find new stuff, really, and it's really hard to know whether or not it's true um, or just half made up. Learning really is putting yourself into it, researching it for yourself without any influence from a show like this or whatever, a documentary, but to really immerse yourself into something and experience it is, there's a lot to be said about that. Um,
Yeah, I highly encourage people to get away from YouTube and actually start thinking for themselves and take what little information you get from here and run with it. I mean, and form your own opinions. I mean, find out the truth for yourself. Weigh what we say with other sources. I mean, do your due diligence. Educate yourself. I've been trying to. It's a long process, but I wish I had the time to do all the studying I'd like to do.
yeah, it's easy to give advice. I'm a great one at doing that. Give great advice, but like I haven't got time to, even do my own stuff. It is time consuming.
It really is.
Great to have a life where you didn't have to work, maybe, and you could really throw yourself into something. And maybe when we retire, you know, um, Eric, Purple Hobbit, get away from the education system. Yeah, that's right. It's programming. Um, yeah, I kind of think sometimes, just not knowing anything, just going to live in a monastery or, some Tibet. And just dropping it all, just forgetting it all,
Right.
get rid of all your possessions, and
Get
just
back to
go live in a
exact.
wood, with eating rice and drinking water, and that's it. I don't know, not and just being, immersed in yourself. It's back to that question: is like, why are we here? Who are we? What are we doing? And really, how far can we go in life to really understand who we are? Answers on a postcard.
Right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll bring this up to people and I'll ask them this question when they say, "Why do you think we come from an alien species?" I'm thinking, well, what species on this planet really stands out? What species on this planet is the one that really doesn't that they don't really seem to fit? And they have to sit and think about it for a while. I'm like, we don't. How many other species on this planet can get out here and withstand extreme temperatures with nothing but the fur?
Mm.
I mean, they're adaptive. They're made for it. We have to seek shelter. We have to make our own heat and cooling, and we have to cover our bodies with clothing of some sort to protect ourselves from the elements. Humans are the only creatures that have to do that.
Well, we've become soft, like you said. We've just become soft.
Yeah, right.
I think once upon a time, we did deal with it, somehow. This is what I'm saying, going back to how were we? How did we manage before all this? Or have we always had this? When it all first started, I mean, oh God, now we're going back. But, how were people interacting with each other? What was, I don't know.
Those questions keep popping up. I mean, you're right though. I mean, we were tougher as a species at one point in time. I read this story once, and I don't know why it just stuck with me, but it did. A cavalry scout was in the Dakotas back before there was a North and a South Dakota here in the States, and he was watching the Sioux tribe. And he was just watching, and he observed these children run around playing next to this pond, a body of water. It was froze over, and these kids running around about naked. As I said, I don't know how they stood it. It's in the 30s. It's freezing. The temperature's freezing out here, and these kids are running around playing like it's nothing, and they're naked. How? So, yeah.
I think you're tougher as kids as well. I mean, I used to run around, with not a lot on, and when you're going out as kids, then you now look at them and you think, my God, why don't they put a jumper on?
Oh God, yeah.
What's that about? just got old and like,
Yeah.
coat on, it'd be freezing. So I don't know how is it a mindset thing? Mind over matter, where we're more in tune with, just if you don't know something's painful until you're told,
Mm-hmm.
then you'd never know, would you?
Right.
You're never told this is, hard, then you just get on with it. So, who knows?
I see. Buck says humans do possess the ability to adapt and improve their conditions in order to survive. We are quite adaptable, true, but we need tools to do it. We need technology to do it.
Yeah. And animals don't. Animals just live their life. They go out, they eat, they hunt, they eat, they sleep,
Right.
they
Right.
produce, they play. They don't have any bills. And life is so easy. Well, is it? Well, it must be. Because look at us. We've got the bills, we've got jobs, we've got to pay for this and that and that, and we've got to go and get food, we've got to cook it. I got to wash your clothes, make your beds. I mean, it's just boring housework. Who wants that? I'd rather be a deer, have the best life, and
Right.
without housework. Yeah, I mean, we do create more problems and responsibilities, and the more we advance, it feels like the harder things are. Just I just want to run away. I just I'd like to go off grid. Really.
Every now and then, I'll leave the house and I'll purposely leave my phone sitting on my table and just go. And my wife's like, "You didn't have your phone with you. Why didn't you have your phone with you?" I didn't want it with me.
Yeah, because there was a time we never had them.
Yeah.
They didn't exist. When you made an arrangement to meet someone, you just went and met them. You didn't make
Exactly.
an excuse up like half an hour before, going, "I'm sorry, my car's broke down, and we'll have to rearrange." You just went and met them. You couldn't ring them again because there was no phones. Uh, we did a lot more, I think, going out and doing stuff. And now phones. Look to it all the time.
Back when the phone was hung on the wall, and not around your neck. It, things were like things were so much simpler back then when you didn't have as much.
Yeah, and you
Eh,
knew everyone's phone number.
oh yeah, I
You knew,
could tell you to this day my phone number of when I was a kid growing up. I could rattle it off right now. But my mom's current number, living in the same place, I'll be damned if I know it.
yeah, yeah.
It's in my contact list. That's all I know.
It ends in 152.
Right. 8675309. Oh Lord. We've been at this for an hour and a half.
Oh wow,
Yeah. I've
incredible.
kept I've kept you up late. This conversation's gotten kind of deep.
It has, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we're
I like it though.
going down the rabbit holes, but not coming up with any answers. Or it's just we're just opening up question after question after question. I think that's maybe we'll have an answer after answer after answer show at some point. But there's just so many things out there, isn't there, to
Mm-hmm.
think about? And Bigfoot really is just a tiny little dot when we put everything together. But I I love mysteries and trying to find things out.
Oh
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
I just feel like though there's chunks missing that we'll never know, and it's all connected.
Mm-hmm.
We are we are all connected. Yeah, just we live in a very disjointed life, or in a very disjointed world. And we might all be connected, but I don't think everyone's switched on.
Right, exactly.
So,
Oh, me.
yeah. It's interesting, isn't it?
It really is. Well, if you're okay with it, I think we'll wrap it up right here.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Fun. We'll definitely have to do it again.
I'd love it. You're welcome here anytime.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in for the Ravens Outpost. And thank you, Daniela, for stopping by here and putting up with my crap.
Well, that's listening to my crap, It's a two-way street.
It's been great.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
I have too. And ladies and gentlemen, as always, y'all take care of yourself. And I love you, mean it.